Thanks for joining the program. All right, what is your name and what do you do?
Hey guys, Dave Duggan here. Men's basketball referee, live in Loveland, Colorado. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. And now we're gonna start hiring you guys. You have a whole bunch of referees, right? And we're gonna start using you guys for our tournaments and our leagues and things like that. So first, I just wanted to thank you for being a part of what we're trying to do, because we're trying to do a lot of crazy things for basketball. But I just wanted to ask you to help us out in our relationship with the referees by answering a few questions.
Absolutely. No, I look forward to it.
Cool. So the first question is, what percentage of your games would you consider like crazy or crazy things happen? Even if you handle them well, what percentage of those games go?
No, I would say, a lot of it all comes down to communication. I can honestly say in the games that I have at the men's college level, there's hardly any craziness that goes on. The real toughness is the level of the youth in the club. And that's when you have to be a master of communication. And I've never been involved with anything that has been crazy. It's all about coming down to communication with coaches, players, and interaction with, folks like yourself, as you know.
All right, I like it. Because we have seen our share, and it just seems like it's every other day, but maybe it's just in our minds because the craziest moments kind of stick out.
Absolutely.
The second question is, why don't most refs ever admit their mistakes? And then do you? And if so, under what circumstances will you actively admit a mistake?
So we're not perfect. We're just like players and coaches. We have the human element. We miss things all the time. But in this business, in which it is a business on the refereeing side, you have to have a level of self-accountability where if you miss something, you have to be able to use that to your asset. If a coach asks you a question and it's not your best call, then you need to admit to it. You can't do it all the time. You can't, relate and default to that. But mistakes do happen, and it all comes down to just saying, hey, coach, I missed that. Let's get the next play. 9 times out of 10, every coach forgets about that play in that second, and we're on to the next. Basketball is a game of possessions.
I think that would be the case, but a lot of refs won't even admit it in the moment, at least. And I think that it's how the kids or how the parents or how the coaches actually come at them. And it's like you can make a dead wrong mistake. If someone yells at you about it, you're going to defend that mistake.
Exactly. Like we're at the men's level, like if you bite me, I'm going to bite back. So it's all in the approach. So if you ask me, David, what happened? I'm going to tell you straight up, like, hey, John, it wasn't my best call, and you got to move on. So I think that being able to communicate effectively and admit those things, it's all about the time and the approach.
Well, let's spread the word so other refs can do it as well. I think that just
agree. You can't use it all the time.
No, not all the time. But dude, that would put out so many fires. People would just be like, "Well, okay then." All right.
In this game, to summarize that last piece, sometimes it's not even about whether I think I'm right or wrong. It's about letting the coach. It's the art of communication. Letting the coach or the player feel like they've won. Even if I agree or disagree with what they say, I'm going to tell somebody what they need to know or what they think they need to hear in the moment to move on.
So you're like the Oracle from the Matrix. That's good.
Correct.
I like it.
You got to survive in advance, baby.
All right. Next question. With human nature involved, are you a bit biased towards players and coaches who don't argue as much?
No, I can honestly say that if a player comes to me and asks a question, captains are an essential part of basketball, and they're captains for a reason. And players, as referees, we try to identify who our key players are. Who is the point guard? They're the quarterback of the team. And so if we can relate to them and talk to them, they're going to be our asset on the floor. And so if they ask us a question in a respectful manner, they deserve a respectful answer. And so there's no bias that goes on or anything like that.
So what I'm saying is, on a particularly like a 50-50 call, like right in the air, the kid who's been a jerk to you the entire game and the kid who's been a saint, they have the equal chance of getting that call. And mind you, if you say that the kid who's a saint might get that 50-50 call better, it might tell my kids, well, I better act straight. I'm just letting you know. But if you say that they are called differently, that might be a blow to who you are as a referee as well. So
correct. But I do think that you can't go in with the intentions of operating that way. You have to call the rules as written. But like, if you have somebody in a 50-50 situation, sometimes, yes, you can take things into account for past dealings, So sometimes if you have a knucklehead that you need to correct on some actions, you may put a block on that play, and no one's going to know other than me right here that says, listen, I just sent a message that says that's going to be a block tonight based on how our interactions are.
Well, I'm not speaking about like just purposefully. I'm talking about like you're just inborn biases, like act like you don't even think about it. All right, fair enough.
No. There's nothing that comes on in a game by game basis that says I'm a bias or looking for anything.
All right. Next question is so since you can't escape argumentative coaches like the NFL refs can, when they just run to the other side of the field, they just escape it. But in basketball, since the court is so small, how do you meditate or refocus yourself during heated moments?
Exactly, and we have a lot of those, and so sometimes I find myself getting lost in the moment. Basketball is a game of possessions, up and down, and so when the game rises to different temperatures, you got to stay cool, calm, and collected. And so my way that I do it is I look, my center of recalibration is looking at the camera, trying to find where that center point is in the gym to kind of get an equilibrium reset, so that way I can kind of recalibrate and go. So we can't escape it in basketball because the fans are on top of you. You hear everything. And sometimes even in those environments, you can't hear everything, but you still have those moments where you need to kind of get back to even. You got to kind of reset. And mine specifically is looking at the camera and doing a reset.
I love that you say that because it just reminds me of the movie Inception, where they had their little token, where that is what showed them what reality was. If you haven't seen Inception, watch the movie. It's a good movie.
Absolutely.
All right. Next question. You got what are your thoughts on artificial intelligence taking over basketball refereeing as it has in tennis? Is it even possible with basketball? And are you scared of it?
So that's a great question. I'm a big sports technology guy, and I do believe in the benefits of sports tech, like instant replay at the college level. Like we get the luxury of, taking a look at certain plays based on rulings and kind of getting the goal is you got to get the play right. However, you cannot replace, the human element in the game of basketball. So if you have, block charges, this and that, there's a personal element that will never go away, but technology does aid in getting the correct call. And I believe that that's our goal. It will never replace the art of officiating. I do believe that maybe out of bounds and some things that can be judged with lines as equal to tennis. But the judgment aspect of our business I don't think that's ever going to go away.
Now, I'm a big, this is gonna shock you. I'm a big Connect Four player, and the worst part about the game is that it's a solved game. Like chess isn't a solved game, but like tic-tac-toe is a solved game. And if you get really good at Connect Four, as I am, it kind of gets stupid after a while. I think that adding a perfect piece to basketball would kind of take away from especially the conniving players like myself, where I'm trying to like figure out the referees. It's a part of the game, and that I kind of like love. And if it were perfect and you got every single call perfect, like I've played with NBA refs, and those guys, when they're not cheating for LeBron, those guys are perfect. They are perfect. I couldn't like grab someone's shorts. Like it was nuts. And it's kind of a strange thing to have it so perfect. So I don't mind the human element in that.
No, the human element is a great thing. Basketball is a sport, and sport is entertainment. And so I don't think that those replacements with artificial intelligence will aid in making the game better.
All right. Last question. What advice would you give players, coaches, and parents in regard to dealing with referees?
I would say just keep things in perspective. Honestly, everyone thinks the higher levels that you officiate is the hardest.
Not at all.
It's not. you put yourselves in the shoes of the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Those are the challenging games, girls and boys basketball, where they're developing the skills, and the parents. Everyone thinks that they know the rules of basketball. You don't know the rules of basketball. You think you know the concepts and the goals of what you want to have happen in the game, but you don't understand the elements in which we do. And I can honestly say, just keep things in a perspective, and that it's a grain of salt at the end of the day. It's a game of possessions. It's about winning the war, and not that time in moment. So just keep things in a perspective.
I think that you can use the referees, whether they're bad or good, to your advantage, and it's your job to kind of figure it out. And that's how life is as well. You don't always get like the best, or like the guy on his best day, or whatever it may be. So I always tell the parents, use this as a lesson learned. And if they ever argue about the score or the ref, I'll tell the referee or the scorekeeper to add points to the other team's score, just to shut them up. But I do appreciate you and all that you do. All right, it's a great service, because you guys are beat up on every single freaking game, probably more than like even the point guard on the other team, right? So we appreciate what you do, and I appreciate you helping us out. You have any last words?
No, just I always leave like this. Refereeing is a very way to stay in tune with the game. And so players, if you thinking about staying in touch with the game of basketball, think about becoming a referee. Enjoy being a player right now. Parents, enjoy being a parent. But always think about how you can stay connected to the game, and this, through the business of sports, is a great opportunity. So thanks for having me.
Now I do have one more question for you. Since you're our assigner and you brought it up earlier, it is harder to referee the games with the 3rd and 4th graders who are traveling every single play and fouling every single time, and you can't call every single thing. You have to balance that while teaching them and things like that. Yet, normally people put the more experienced referees with the high school bunch or the college bunch, when it should be the exact opposite. Like, anyone can ref a high school game. How do you assign referees? Is it random because of that? Because I would think that your best refs wouldn't even want to ref the 3rd graders.
No, so being a coordinator of officials is really about having a blend and knowing your staff. So you can't just throw random people on a game. You have to be able to understand the dynamic of every matchup, what level it is. And every game has a crew chief. There's always a leader on the crew. There's always a crew chief who's in charge. And when I assign, I know that even if I have a 5th grade girls basketball game and I need, there's a lot of dealings that go into, you need an effective communicator for one. And so the crew chief has to be the utmost best communicator, not only to players, coaches, but they need to know how to tune fans out. And then you can tag on to maybe a U1, somebody who's less experienced but still knows the game. And so through those two makeups really makes a strong crew and available for younger officials to be able to learn and develop in the club and youth scene.
Well, that's a great answer, man. Well, I appreciate you. That is our time. So I'll talk to you soon, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right, see you guys.
All right, thank you so much. Peace.